Hey YouTube, I was trolling the internet probably about a couple months ago trying to find any information that I could about the Century International Arms Elite 1911, and I could find nothing. There was one video on YouTube that I could find that was, I think, from SHOT Show, that was actually from the manufacturer, where they were just kind of talking about the features on it. But there's been no in-depth reviews on this gun, and I was kind of baffled, only because it's so cheap. I figured someone out there would have taken the risk and bought it. So, because I didn't see anyone do that, I went ahead and took the plunge for all of you guys out there. And I just want to give you kind of an overview of it, let you see how it looks, fit and finish, my experiences, and let you judge for yourself if this is a firearm you'd be interested in purchasing. So without further ado, here it is. This is the case it comes in. It's a high quality, very flimsy plastic case. Not that it really matters. I mean, I personally take these out of the cases when I get them, and they either drop in the safe or they're in my range bag. So I don't really use these cases, but it's very flimsy. So just so you know, if you're a big case guy, you're not gonna be impressed with this. This is basically how it comes. Mine actually was pretty much had a broken flag in it whenever it came. I pulled it up when I had to check it out at the FFL, and was like, okay. So it's either got a really strong spring when I got it, or it was a really crappy flag. But whatever. So this is actually how the handgun kind of comes. The only real difference here is I've switched out the grips, and I made one other slight visual or modification to how it looks. I'll point that out to you in a second here. We can go ahead and safety check it though, just so we don't have anybody crying in the comments about it. It's empty mag and empty chamber. So, like I said, I made a couple small changes to it from a look standpoint, and actually it's more of a function standpoint than looks. I'm not one of those people that really cares how their gun looks. But the grips that come on it, these are what they look like. And they're these black plastic grips. They're not bad. I'm not gonna whine about plastic grips or whatever. I mean, they are what they are. But what I really wanted was something that had an indentation in the grip so you can get to the safety or the mag release a little easier. These are the Magpul MOE 1911 grip panels, or MO. I'm not sure how you say that, with the TSP texture. They've worked fine for me. Like I said, I wasn't really having an issue with the grips on these in terms of like holding on to the handgun. It was more that I just wanted this cut out here, and in the process I was like, a little bit of contrast because it was all black, and variety is the spice of life, I guess. So let's clear all this off. Alright, so getting to the handgun itself, I'll just kind of walk around and give you kind of feature overview and fit and finish details. It comes with one 8-round magazine with this, it's got a little plastic bumper pad on the bottom. I've had no issues with it, honestly. I went ahead and color filled the numbers just so that it would be a little easier to see. The range I shoot at, it's kind of dark, so it is what it is. I've had no issues with the magazine. I've actually had no issues with the firearm in general, and with functioning or feeding or ejecting. I'm not going to act like I'm an expert on the 1911 platform. This is my first one I've ever had. I've fired them before, but what I did notice on this one is that the magazines insert a little, or this magazine inserts a little hard. Like you can see right here, I'm pushing on it. It's not just going right in. Now, if I ride it home pretty hard, it goes in just fine. But if you're gentle with your guns, which I was when I first got it, just because I was just function checking it, it's got quite a bit of a hard hit there on the magazine release, and if you push that in, it slides right in. But and obviously it falls free as well. Yeah, I mean, it's something to note. It might be mine that I have just a really tight spring, or a maybe slightly poorly machined latch. I don't know. It doesn't really bother me. It seems like it's a little better when it's got 8 rounds in it, but that could also be it's just got enough momentum behind the extra weight that it just kind of overcomes that latch. But something to point out. So no one says, "Wait, why didn't you tell me about that?" Whenever they buy their own. There is serrations on the magazine latch. Like I said, I've had no issues with function on this firearm. For what I paid for it, and I can't remember offhand, I'll put it in the description. I want to say it was under $300 delivered with FFL transfer fee through Grab-A-Gun. And when I was shopping for this, I was looking for a budget 1911 I didn't want to put a lot of money into it because I didn't know how much I'd shoot it, but I just wanted something that would fire, the 45 ACP cartridge and, have fun with. So this is what I picked up. For what I paid for it, I'm honestly pretty amazed at what comes on it. It does have, the full length extended beaver tail. The fit and finish on it is actually pretty impressive. I don't know how easy it is to see in this. I can take some close-up photos later, maybe cut to that. But I mean, it's almost just like totally smooth where those joints are, and even when you press it, I mean, they did a good job fitting the beaver tail to this. Slide to frame finish is honestly pretty decent as well. There's a really slight amount of side to side wiggle, but I mean it's not bad. The trigger pull also, I don't have a trigger pull gauge. I know it's it's definitely better than my my M&P Shield that I carry, which I think that's right around 6.5 pounds or 6. But I mean this one's got a real slight general pull. I mean, it's not bad. I would say it's probably in the 4 pound range, maybe. Like I said, it's definitely better than the other ones. Reset. So, it's definitely perfectly fine for target shooting in the range, which is what I use it for. I don't carry this is the 5-inch government size 1911, and I'm not one of those people that can carry a gun that size very easily concealed. Disregard the paranoid black tape here. People freak out about serial numbers. I don't personally, but at the same time, you can't be too safe sometimes because there's some nutballs out there. I mentioned at the beginning the visual modifications in regards to this. The other thing that I did was I went ahead and put a white dot, or I painted the white sight on the front. It's kind of funny. The front sight actually has a cutout, like a circular engraving in the front sight, but it's black when you receive it. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe if these are parts that they use on other guns that they, on the premium models or whatever, that they go ahead and fill that in or put in a bead or something like that. But I just took some Testors white model paint, flat white, filled it in, and I've shot this thing plenty, and I've had no issues with it coming out or anything like that. So, cheap way to have that on there. I appreciate that they actually had the cutout in there because it made it a lot easier to fill that in and get a nice perfect circle. Other than that, they are standard GI sights. So that means, you got nothing on the back, and normally you don't have anything on the front either. You just line them up along that groove and shoot. They're fine. They aren't adjustable or left or right. So if you're, someone that's used to adjustable sights or whatever, you're not going to get that. But that's what you expect with a standard GI model 1911 for the most part. They are also they are dovetailed. They're actually dovetailed front and rear, which is unusual. I think the front's usually a tenon joint. This is a really weird cutout too. It's not a standard cutout. I've read online this is not a standard cutout either. So if you're someone that likes to, get a handgun and replace the sights right away with, high vis or, night sights or whatever, I've heard that this is something that you're gonna have to probably go to a gunsmith and get them to custom cut sights for you because that's not a standard joint. So just FYI, in case you're one of those people that likes to do that. Trigger skeletonized, got skeletonized hammer. Has an extended safety, which some people love that, some people hate it. I don't really care. I mean, I suppose it's fine. It doesn't really get in the way. I mean, the only thing I might say is sometimes working the slide release, it kind of gets in the way. It's not a big deal though. It's got nice positive engagement though. It's fine. Not too easy, not too hard to push. It's not ambidextrous. It's not on the other side. So for you left-handed shooters out there, you're gonna need to go buy yourself an ambi safety or live with us terrible right-handed people. Let's see if there's anything else on here that really bears pointing out. It's a standard 1911. What I do like, which it's kind of hard to find whenever you get into, especially budget 1911s. Manufacturers like to mark them up. This one is very, very minimalist in regards to markings. Up here, it's just got a really faint roll mark. This is Elite in capital letters. It's really simple, really thin. Personally, I'd rather that not even be on there just because I think it's stupid to say Elite on a gun. I mean, it kind of goes into that tactical area, but you know, beggars can't be choosers. It's got the roll mark for the manufacturer here. It says CAI Georgia, Vermont, and then on the other side, really small, right below the frame here or the slide, it says SAM Philippines, and that's something to note, I guess, is that this isn't actually made by Century Arms International or Century International Arms, however you want to say it. It's made by Shooters Arms Manufacturing in the Philippines, and they are not the same people that make Rock Island Armory 1911s. A lot of people think that because they're both in the Philippines, they're the same or similar, but they're different. And from what I understand, the Rock Island Armories are actually better than these. So, I mean, I have no complaints about this gun. Like I said, it fires fine, and it feels great. The lockup's great on it. But so I mean, to me, that speaks maybe to Rock Island Armory that, man, I need to maybe look into that, because I mean, this thing's great. So it's funny. I mean, you know, maybe the Philippines is the new place to go for your guns. I don't know. Don't crucify me for that one. I don't know if I pointed this out. It does have slide serrations. Doesn't have them up front. It's not standard GI serrations either. They're these more angled grip or wider set ones. Normally GI ones are vertical and really close together. I kind of like these, honestly. It's a really positive grip surface to get a hold of, and because they're wider ridges, I feel like you kind of have more of a tactile feel to it. But it's personal preference. Sorry about that. My camera cut out on me for a second there. So let's talk about the finish on this. It's a parkerized finish. It's not melanite treated or anything, super fancy new like that. It's old school parkerization. And if you've never had a parkerized weapon like I have, the same way I haven't had one, it almost has a weird like chalkboard feeling to it when you get it, which, I mean, that is what it is. But I did some looking online because I didn't know how parkerization wore, if I needed to do anything special with it. And what a lot of people have mentioned was just rubbing it down with gun oil does wonders for it. And it's not even necessarily to keep it healthy, so to say. It actually improves how it feels because it soaks up the oil. And it's really crazy to watch. But you just I put it on just on a rag and wiped it down with Hops gun oil, and within, I don't know, it was just a few minutes. I mean, it went from like kind of a flat black to a much more of a satiny finish. It feels much nicer now. So if you get one of these, or if you have a parkerized gun and you haven't done that, I would highly recommend rubbing it down with oil, because it makes it feel like a new gun, so to say, even though it is new. The other thing I didn't mention, there's no serrations on the front strap, so if you're someone that needs that extra grip there, it's not going to be on this. You might look into Pacmir grips or something, or if you were feeling fancy, take it to a gunsmith and have them work on your sub $300 gun. Not worth it. Back does have slide serrations on the mainspring housing. It doesn't have, it's not checkered, it's just vertical serrations. I haven't had any issues honestly holding on to this handgun. I don't have big hands, I don't have small hands, I don't feel like. I'm sure someone in the comments will tell me I've got woman hands or something like that, but if it's my hand, just fine. I've had no issues holding this and firing it and retaining control. But you can switch out a mainspring housing pretty easily, and find some parts that'll kind of suit what you want. You get it doesn't have like a beveled magazine well or anything like that. So, all things to think about, I guess, if you're planning to use this for competition. So I don't really have much to complain about on this. I've run quite a few. I don't know the exact number, but I've run Federal 230 grain ball ammo through this. I've run my own reloads through it with plated bullets. And I've had no issues at all. The only like issue, so to say, and this is, I don't even know if I'd call it an issue, but and it might be an extractor thing, I don't know what it is. I have been getting very small dings on my brass, and a lot of people don't care. If you don't reload and you don't save your brass, you're not going to care about this. But for you reloaders out there, I have been getting some little dings. What most people have said is it's probably from the slide coming back and hitting it on its way out. I haven't really investigated it. It seems to have kind of remedied itself. Every once in a while I'll see a couple that have little tiny dings on them, and they're not bad. I mean, I can still use the brass, but it's something that I have noticed, and I figure I'd point out to you. It does have a flared ejection port when one more positive, I guess, which, you know, it's funny. It's a cheap gun, but it comes with a lot of these little features that if you go to anybody else, they're gonna gouge you for. And, you know, I gotta hand it to them. I mean, they're making a, you know, it seems to me, this is, you know, this is my one sample, and, you know, maybe I got really lucky, but, you know, this seems to be a really well-made firearm that, shoots straight. You know, it seems accurate enough. I mean, it's as accurate as it's going to be in my hands. You know, I'm not a target shooter, but, you know, I'm not terrible, I guess, either. But, you know, it's a well-made gun that seems to do what it's meant to do, and it's got a bunch of little fun, you know, extras that a lot of people pay good money for. So, you know, if you're in the market for a 1911 and you're on a budget and maybe you don't even have one and you just want to get into it and see if you like it, I don't think you can go wrong with this. You know, I don't know what resale value is on this if you decide you hated it, but I've had absolutely no problems with this gun, and I would wholeheartedly recommend it to anybody that was looking to get a 1911. You know, if you have any questions, comments, you know, if you hate my guts and you want to let me know about it, let me know in the comments, and I'll be looking at them, and I'll let you, you know, I'll answer any questions you might have that I didn't answer. But, you know, thanks for watching, and I hope this was helpful to those of you that might have been on the fence about this particular firearm.